Former Deputy President of the Senate, Ike Ekweremadu, will be spending the next 9 years, 8 months behind bars after plotting to harvest a man's kidney for his sick daughter. He, his wife, and Dr. Obinna Obeta were arrested in London. The judge at the Central Criminal Court, also known as the Old Bailey, also sentenced his wife to 4 years and 6 months imprisonment, while Mr. Obeta received a 10-year prison term. We have details in this report.
A bad day for the Ekweremadus as a judge at the Central Criminal Court, also known as the Old Bailey, has sentenced former Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu, his wife Beatrice, and a doctor, Obinna Obeta, to jail. The three were found guilty at the Old Bailey of conspiring to arrange the travel of a young man with a view of exploiting him for his body parts. The Ekweremadu's 25-year-old daughter, Sonia, has a severe kidney disease. It was for her the donor was sourced and brought down to the UK. Things began to take a sore turn when the Ekweremadus were arrested as they arrived at Heathrow Airport on June 21 last year. After months of pre-trial, the trial commenced on January 31, 2023 and lasted about 6 weeks, culminating in a guilty verdict against Mr. Ekweremadu, his wife Beatrice, and the doctor, Mr. Obeta. At a sentencing hearing on Friday, Mr. Ekweremadu was jailed for 9 years and 8 months. His wife Beatrice was sentenced to 4 years and 6 months imprisonment, while Mr. Obeta received a 10-year prison term. The conviction is the first under the UK's Modern Slavery Act 2015. The ECOWAS Parliament, Nigerian Parliament, and ex-President Olusegun Obasanjo, among others, pleaded for leniency for the Ekweremadus. The judge, Justice Johnson, acknowledged a 51-page document pleading for leniency for Mr. Ekweremadu and highlighting how he is a person of upstanding character. He goes on to say while it is lawful to donate a kidney, it becomes criminal if money or another material advantage is rewarded.
The exploitation was the proposed donation of a kidney for reward. The reward.
Well, joining us to discuss more on this is a public affairs analyst, Oladendi Ario. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast. Now, let's get your impression of how this matter went, the sentencing, and all of it.
I will start from the end. We have abandoned the major issue, and we're all chasing the minor. How do I mean?
Yes.
The girl whose illness or sickness brought about all of these things is no longer the focus. Nobody is thinking of now getting her a donor through appropriate channel so that her life can still be saved. Attention is now being directed
on the parents.
More on the parents, how they can get them a reprieve, how they can get them this and that. Forgetting that in Britain, institutions have been made so strong and the justice system does not know anybody, no face. So I'm using this opportunity to tell the world or whoever is listening for them to go back to that lady and see how they can help her through. I listened to her interview on BBC and she was fantastic. Forthright, very bold and courageous. Such a life should not be allowed to be wasted at the altar of the parents' misdemeanor.
I want to believe that there are other arrangements behind the scene that we are not aware of.
We are over. Yes. Okay, let's take it there. Right. Now, how did this all start? The young man was taken to the doctors and they simply asked him, do you really want to donate your kidney? And he said, I don't have money to donate. Meaning, he wasn't well briefed. He could not connect donation with his kidney. What he knew was, back home in Nigeria, when they say donate, they're donating money. Now, that was illegal.
Well, we can't assume that
I'm talking of the report that I read now, as written by the authorities there, not the media here. And then they now ask him, are you aware of the risks that you'll be exposed to as a result of this? He didn't know anything. Now, in these things, there's the legal side of it, there's the science part of it. His consent is important, which must be given after being duly informed, educated. And then the science part is the consequences on him. Perhaps if something goes wrong, then he will accept it. So those ones were like, oh no, this is a mismatch. In that operation, when it happens like that, they call it a mismatch. And then attention was now drawn to them, and then they call in the police. If this had happened here, I can tell you the case will have died naturally.
Natural death.
Why? We have not developed our institutions to function. We only honor our powerful and almighty men. And that's why it's been very annoying seeing people making it look like that boy was a nuisance, whereas he's a victim. Otherwise, if it had been here and then the organ was harvested, perhaps the boy died. Nobody would have remembered him. You remember in some of the reports that we read, consistently, Ekweremadu was referring to him as that guy. And by the time they now asked him question and he lied, which he also owned up to later, that the boy was a cousin to him and nephew, whatever. All of those things, they didn't portray him as worthy of the leadership position that he has occupied in Nigeria. And that's my problem. Nobody is safe. A lot of people are not seeing the realities. This what they call church mind. They are now seeing it from their church mind. The question is any life more important than the other? No.
The other issues involved in this, I know you are talking about the fact that the boy was a victim. I think the idea of trying to make the boy look more innocent than really is very tempting, because it's working against a powerful man, money, and all of that. And this guy was just a seller of phone accessories on the wheelbarrow in one of the markets, probably Alaba in Lagos. And they picked him up there, and they said, okay, we can change you can donate your kidney. And this idea that the guy does not know that they are going to take something from his body. He knew that they were going to take something from his body. The boy was not that innocent. No, the boy was not that innocent. I'm not saying that he was not a victim, but he was a victim who thought that he could exploit his own victimhood for his own good. And it turned out that it didn't work that way. And then the Ekweremadus also did not do the right thing. They were cynical, they were exploitative, they were brutal, all because of the love of their daughter. And my heart goes out to them. When people should understand that when you want to save your own child, people can go to a lot of lengths. I have sympathy for them for that, but no, the law is the law, and you cannot sacrifice somebody's life for another. There's nothing great about that. And people usually donate their kidneys. People do that all the time in the world and so on. They donate blood. And in the US, they always ask you when you want to get your driver's license, whether you can. Whether you in case you pass on, whether you want your kidney to be donated to people, because it's a very rare commodity, and people line up for years, though, waiting. Those on dialysis line up for years to get it. But must get to the point. How much innocence do we give to that boy?
Okay, I want to take it up on that point. There's a difference between being informed and then being fully informed. From the poverty point of view, throwing any amount of money at him may make him drink, a new life. Again, the offer of going to London at all for him was a big deal. If they had come to somebody like me, he wouldn't have touched me. What is the deal about going to London? Haven't I been there before? Now, the man who messed up the whole thing is that Dr. Obinka. Because it was the go-between, between the Ekweremadus and the boy. it made them look like drug cartel, the barons, how they operate. The mules, the drug carriers, the couriers, they don't know the baron, the big man. All they see are the go-between who tells them, we are carrying this from point A to point B and we are paying you so much. So in between, they gave him 4.5 million naira for that boy, and they gave the boy 270,000 naira. Unfortunately, that boy has not been interviewed publicly for us to hear his side of the story. Perhaps that betrayer also had a hand in making him get angry, because at the point that they said, look, your kidney is not going to be useful again, you are going back to Nigeria, and it was kept somewhere. That was where, according to a news report now, the boy said, no, we can't take him back to Nigeria, and he walked into the police station. Now, there was already a story on ground.
So someone who does not know why he came, would he act in that manner?
I didn't say he didn't know why he came. He didn't realize the full implication of all of that. I have had to take my daughter abroad for a surgery, and I was frontal about it. I was involved from A to Z. Nobody discussed with anybody on my behalf. I did all by myself, and I was right there on the spot for her till everything went through. So what I'm saying is, I didn't have to cut any corner or negotiate or anybody on my behalf. No. And those are the places where I found them culpable. You know, and we must understand the fact that the Nigerian big man will want to have things his own way, the easiest way possible. Otherwise, if there had been an advert seeking for donors, okay, who would be compensated, there would have been people willingly and freely coming up, listening to the daughter. I was moved. If I was younger and they could take one of my kidneys, I would have gladly, freely given it to her. I mean, I know what it is.
Are you too old to donate kidney? You're never too old.
Sam, at 63, come on.
Your kidney is still alive?
The last time I donated blood, I was 60 then. I nearly died. Yes, because from the point of collection, I couldn't get up of my own. They had to manage me to a convenient place.
Were you not checked before you donated?
Well, they did all the checks, and they were like, you don't look 60. Forgetting that I have been using my liver, kidney, brain, everything for 60 years. So on that score, I wouldn't want to take that risk. My girl is still very young.
All right. Back to the issue now. What do you say that, because we recall that letters, the Senate wrote a letter, former President Obasanjo wrote a letter, even from the House of Reps, letters were written. Yeah. Would you say that perhaps brought about the sentencing that we saw? Because under the trafficking laws in the country there, it's supposed to be a life sentence.
Right.
So would you say that all of the letters written brought about the level of leniency? Some have said it is with the sentencing.
Letters or no letter, the judge is a human being. He could empathize. He could put himself in their shoes. And he could see the desire, the very strong determination and deliberate intent to rescue their daughter. That's the point. And then, like he said earlier on, anybody at all, we want to go to every extent to make sure the girl's life is salvaged. And of course, the judge will have looked at all of this and like, oh, okay, let's be lenient. And if they behave themselves, you can be sure they might get a parole, which may also reduce the sentence to, they are staying in prison to a much shorter period. But at the bottom of it all is that they erred. We mustn't take away from that. On the other side, some human rights are saying that the people who have been writing, including a foundation which Ekweremadu founded, and people have benefited from it, they even had a vigil praying for him prior to the judgment. But the fact remains that they were guilty. So, like the girl said, that they took it calmly, you know, and they're not feeling bad about it.
Because they were already
sickness. brought this?
Because we're already expecting that they will get a victim. I listened to the judgment.
Okay.
I listened to the judgment, and the judge made reference to Obasanjo's letter from a cleric from Enugu or so. Talked about different letters from people who benefited from his charities and all of that, and he acknowledged all of that, but he said the law is the law.
It's the law, yeah.
And he had to do what he had to do, and he kind of mitigated the sentence. But the issue is how do we understand what is political and what is not? Because in a sense, the judgment was also an indictment of the Nigerian political elite.
Yes.
Yeah.
It talked about Ekweremadu 40 houses, at least 40 houses. It talked of the man harvesting 400,000 pounds within 6 months
while in
on
detention.
one account while in detention. So it was an indictment of the corruption of the elite, and using that corruption and extending that corruption, that impunity, into the oppression of a young man just because you want to advance your own daughter. It was like saying that, look, you have a daughter. Very good. She's sick. We need justice for her. But acts like you create so many people in that condition. There are so many people are sick who can use the resources that you use to buy 40 houses to get good health care.
Of course, yeah.
Who can use 400,000 pounds to build so many school buildings
Yeah.
and buy so many equipment.
Medical
400,000 pounds
It's
can
a
help
lot
set
of
up
money.
a kidney
Transplant
a place in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
It can even be a seed money to transform a community. It can give scholarships to tens and thousands of people in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
So, in a sense, the man was also making a very serious statement, a dent.
Yes.
It just reminds me of the Alakija story when they didn't want to marry T.O.S. Benson, and the Nigerian political elite all poured in, including her father, to testify against a daughter because they wanted the daughter to marry a certain man she did not want to marry. It's kind of a disgrace to Nigerian political elite.
I'll connect with you. I was here last week when we were discussing the promise of President-elect to pay living wage. And the question was, where is the money coming from? In the face of our humongous indebtedness, which is going to inherit. And I said it, that the cost of politics in Nigeria, political administration, is outrageous and very insensitive. When compared to anywhere in the world, it has no parity. This has just confirmed what I said, that we should begin to look inwards so that we can save money. There are leakages and waste points.
Too many.
Excessive waste points. Situation where my driver left me and was elected a councillor. He came back to show me his car, that they gave him a car the day they reported. And I was like, in what way has he benefited from your election, whereby you are now a car owner? He not only got a car, they gave him, he also hired a driver. 4 years after, he offered me that car, that I should buy the car, let him drive it as a taxi cab in Lagos. And I said, sorry.
So he has lost his job?
Oh, but after 4 years now, I mean, was it 2 or 3 years or something? The party was over. These are areas where we should begin to re-examine our political configuration. It is odd, it is absurd, and it's not sustainable. And it's one thing that is making Nigeria to look like a bad case or a basket case of challenges here and there. How can a man in detention earn so much for doing nothing but for occupying an office? It doesn't, I mean, it makes the world to look at us and they laugh at us. I don't even know why they keep giving us loans.
Excuse me, the man made that statement, the judge made that statement. Is it not an indictment of Nigerian media that piece of information
didn't come from here?
No. Even when the man said it, he said it, any reporting.
Insist on it.
It's not any reporting. Media, television, TVC, channels, Arise, The Nation, everybody. Very important piece of news like that escaped everybody.
You must understand that here we kill information when they are unpleasant or unsavory. So that must have happened to that piece of information.
We need to quickly go on a commercial break. When we return, we'll continue our conversation. Stay with us. All right, thank you for staying with us. We still have our guest in the studio. And before we went on the break, we were talking about the matter of Ike Ekweremadu, his sentencing and in the UK, and the fact that he had some houses that what the judge spoke about, he having some houses and some monies that he got while in detention for not doing anything. And it also speaks to the matter of accountability, holding our leaders to account, to deliver on their mandate. It seems that we are still not getting it right as a country.
I'll tell you this. The man that is being pushed forward today to lead our Senate was the same person who spent billions to build an hospital as governor. He became a senator, had an accident on Abuja Road. What happened? Instead of being flown to his hospital, right, that was so much celebrated, he was flown abroad. Because the man knew the carcass that he gave them as hospital. Okay? He gave them a dispensary as hospital. You know, these are areas that should have called for attention. But nobody looked at it. The media just played around it. They went, you know, in Nigeria, it's one day, one trouble. We were here when as a minister, he was giving evidence in a case that was going to indict some senators or rep members, if my head still remembers. And then the chairman of the committee said, Honorable Minister, it's okay, it's okay. Yeah. You remember off the mic?
Yes.
Come on.
Off your mic.
So for him to have been involved in all those unsavory circumstances, as far as I'm concerned, he should not, he should be far away from even the Senate. Talk more of being Senate president. Now, when you look at it, what we are doing, we are recycling evil. Somebody messed up as a governor, is back as minister, back as senator. Don't we have other people? Am I not qualified to be in the Senate? Is it not qualified to be in the House of Representatives? You can be a governor. But these people have amassed so much wealth, and then they occupy everything. They just must be there. They must be relevant. Nobody, we've not done the benchmarking of how much has gone to this person as against what value he has added to the community that voted for him. That's why he said, we have not started. And when we are ready, we have to reinvent.
To start?
We have to reinvent Nigeria. You remember Amechi said in one interview, as a minister, he was asked to come and give a speech, and he said, the voters of Nigeria are the ones who don't know what they are doing. They should be stoning their political leaders. Remember? Why? Because he admitted that they were not giving value for all that they are enjoying. Have we changed the system? No. I said this here some years back. We should reinvent Nigeria. And of course, Mike was asking me to give. I'm not going to give you this. If you want details from me, let somebody come, pay me.
On how we can reinvent Nigeria.
You want part of the 400,000?
My brother, don't I deserve to be better than this?
Isn't that corruption?
No, please. I'm being paid for a service. Please.
All right, we have to leave the conversation here. Let's leave the conversation here now. Our public affairs analyst, Olade Indiario, thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Right.